the Herd Line News.
So details about Tom Brady's contract continue to emerge. It's technically a 2-year extension through the 2021 season, but 2020 and 2021 are void years, which is actually similar to the Saints' 5-year extension with Drew Brees in 2016 that included 3 void years. And when asked about it during his media availability yesterday, he spoke about himself as if he belonged in the same category as players that know they could be cut at any time.
It's really the reality for most guys in the NFL. You know, I don't want to think that I'm any different than everyone else. Like, football's a tough business. It's a production business. And, you know, I'm ready to go this year, and that's really what matters, and that's where my focus is. It's a unique situation. It is what it is. That's a good line. So whoever said it, it's very pertinent. So, like I said, there's a lot of guys who have, you know, 1 year left on their contract. You know, so the situation, I got 1 year to go, and we'll see what happens.
Never really heard Brady talk like that before.
Well, you know what the thing is?
Interesting.
Disappointment and anger comes from expectations. He sets the table to, even if he's talking to us, he really sets the table in his mind. It's a tough business. My contract's like a lot of contracts. It's a production business. So you're not greatly disappointed when it is tough. Like, he doesn't come in thinking, like I tell my wife this all the time. When you wake up in the morning, you kind of set the emotional agenda for the day.
Right.
If you have unrealistic expectations for the day, my wife and I, 4th of July, we invited friends to Park City, Utah for this big 4th of July party. We had it all ramped up. And then rain arrived 10 minutes before and washed out the whole fireworks show. And my wife was just beside herself because her expectations were, this is going to be the greatest party of all time. Tom Brady's not just talking to us, he's talking to himself. It's a tough business. I got a 1-year deal. It's a production business. If I'm not good, I'm not here. I think, this sounds corny, but I think as you're in the middle of camp, controlling your own emotions are a real thing, right? Football's hard.
Yeah, but it's Tom Brady, and it's kind of silly to think of it that way. I mean, when the whole Jimmy Garoppolo thing was going on, you really saw the true power of that dynamic between Brady and Belichick and Kraft and how all that interaction happens. Nobody feels like Brady is on the same level as a guy who's trying to make the team and if had a bad production year is going to be cut. That's just not how this scenario is going to end. There was a time where I believed it was possible that Bill Belichick would be able to cut Brady just without any remorse and get away with it. And I don't believe that anymore.
Well, he is the best player they have on the team. So, I mean, he does have that safety net. He's their best player.
Right, but it's just kind of a weird tone he's setting. Like it almost tricks you. It's very good. It's very politician of him. Like, oh, you know what? Maybe Brady does have something to prove this year, you know? Let's just temper expectations a little bit. That's exactly why we don't go out on New Year's anymore. It's the most expensive, ridiculous night of the year. You have all these expectations of it just being this, like, just fireworks and confetti and the champagne is flowing, and it's always an expensive disappointment.
Yeah, and the traffic's terrible.
Yes, I mean, you're obviously not going to drive, so getting a driver is impossible.
My dad used to call it amateur night.
It really
That's what he used to call New Year's Eve. He said it's amateur night.
Amateur night, 100%. That's what New Year's is. Just stay home. It's so much more thrilling to watch the show. So Freddie Kitchens wants to make it known that there is zero inside information that is going to be leaked from the Browns organization under his watch. That was the message that he delivered yesterday when he was asked about the recent criticism from former Browns offensive line coach Bob Wiley.
Listen, Bob wasn't under contract. All right, he forgot to tell everybody that. He wasn't under contract. He had talked about retiring forever. All right? So sometimes when a person says something, they have to be made to feel relevant. The days of inside information and the days of unnamed sources and stuff like that have ended. You're not going to get any information like that ever. Anybody. And if I ever see it, they're fired immediately.
Oh, boy.
That's the way we're running this organization.
Oh, boy.
And I can take it. John Dorsey can take it. We won't crack, I promise you.
Boy, that's a lot of big words.
Look, it's impossible to control the flow of information outside of an organization. I think that our
how would you
government can show that very clearly and obviously. You're not going to fire your offensive coordinator in week 10 because he spoke to a reporter and said something that displeases you. It's not a realistic situation.
Also, how would you know who talked? If it's an unnamed source, how do you know which coach said something?
Right. It's silliness. Now, look, there are organizations who are better at not letting information get out than others. The Patriots, we never hear anything from the Spurs. The Clippers did an amazing job of that. And that all comes from having a very distinct level of minimum dysfunction. It has nothing to do with you running in a room and yelling about how if anyone says anything, they're going to get fired.
Now, I always feel like, and I could use this in the White House, when you have a White House that has no leaks, the previous White House, it tells you, whether you agree with their policies, that people in the White House respected the world global view of the guy leading it. When you have a bunch of leaks in a White House or a big CEO business, that means there's doubts about the perspective or worldview of the person leading. So, same with sports. If you have a bunch of leaks in the building, it's telling you people doubt the direction the coach is taking you. Nobody doubts Pop's direction. Pop can get out coached in games. He can have a bad series, a bad week. But when you have leaks, it's telling you people doubt the leader's direction.
It shows a level of dysfunction. And aside from doubting the direction, which is 100% true, people feel unsafe in their position and their role there.
Yeah.
So they want to get narratives out to protect themselves or to change the direction of the story. And that's all just an understanding of the culture. And now, you can have the desire to not have a leaky organization, but that's just a culture. Like you said, it's a culture of respect for one another. It's us against them. If we give them information, they can use it against us. We respect each other, and that's how it works. Finally, Mitch Trubisky is coming off a productive sophomore season under the then first-year head coach Matt Nagy. He was named Coach of the Year for guiding the Bears to 12 wins and a playoff berth, but the stakes are a little higher this year, and Trubisky has to grow into Nagy's offense, and Bears quarterback coach Dave Ragon told ESPN, this is the time to push the envelope, if not now, when. Coach Nagy is a great coach to play quarterback for, specifically in these types of settings in training camp, because he allows you to go out there, test some throws to see what you can get away with. We're constantly pushing that mentality. Now, obviously, Trubisky had an incredible jump from his first year, 12 games, 7 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, 59.4% completion rate. In 2018, he had 24 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, and a completion rate of 66.6%.
He had a very Jared Goff first year and a very Jared Goff second year. He made a big leap. The difference is when I watch Jared Goff, I see an arm talent that is elite and getting better. When I watch Trubisky, I see a really good athlete who I don't think is an elite arm talent. My eyes tell me there's a much lower ceiling. Even though he jumped rookie to second year like Jared Goff, Goff's ceiling looks, my eyes are telling me it's much higher than Trubisky's.
I would agree, and this is kind of what worries me about the Bears this year, because there are expectations of the Bears, and you've heard Khalil Mack talk about it, like and we talk about it all the time. The windows for these teams are often very small, because while you may have a very young quarterback, the rest of your team might be veterans in a position where they are reaching their prime and you need to win now. I feel like the Bears are going to be great this year. They're going to be what they were last year, but I just don't know if Trubisky is the guy to get right over the edge.
And I think both of us feel that with Lamar Jackson. We can win games with him, but if they're trailed by 10 in the fourth quarter, okay, Lamar, you've got to throw. Okay, Mitch Trubisky, you've got to throw 18 straight times, and they know you're throwing.
Right.
That's what separates Brady, Rodgers, Breeze, Russell Wilson, Andrew Luck. Yes, Patrick Mahomes. This league is not about your quarterback always playing with a lead. Sometimes your quarterback, Tom Brady, trails in a Super Bowl late, and they know he trails and he has to throw. And that's where I say Lamar and Trubisky to me look like limited ceiling guys.
What can they do in those huge moments?
Trailing. Because, by the way,
because it's going to happen.
Yeah, in some years, Tim Tebow won a bunch of close games when he had a great kicker in Matt Prater and a great defense. But over the course of 12 years, you're going to have 3-year stretches where you have a bad defense, injuries. So now you have to win shootouts. Tebow could never win shootouts. I don't think Trubisky can win shootouts, but I do think Matt Nagy's amazing, and their defense will keep him out of shootouts most weeks. So I think they're going to be good. But at some point, they're going to pay him, and you're going to have to get rid of some of those defenders. That's the Andy Dalton thing. When Andy was cheap, Bengals had all sorts of players. Then they paid Andy, and now it's like, oh, Andy can't play from behind.
I mean, I don't want to put the Andy Dalton label on Trubisky just yet, but I just feel like you feel. I can't see him in that big moments making those plays to get them back, and that's what you rely on in the postseason.
Yep. Joy with the news.